Greetings, folks. Happy Friday. Welcome to Something More Than Gibberish. Today we feature Todd Worrell, better known as in Instagram as Mid-Aged Poetry. Todd is very active on Instagram with LG, supporting lives, mainly on their own platform. And yeah, quite often Todd is so supportive from beneath and very unassuming, and often can get overlooked. So I'm really looking forward to featuring Todd here, because I do love his work. I haven't had the pleasure of getting his book and looking through his work, but the pieces of his that I have heard him recite are second to none. Quite in depth, quite caring, and I find Todd is ever appreciative of everybody else's work. When Janaya and he do live reads or DM reads, or if LG is doing it with another co-host, Todd's always supportive from within the audience with his comments, which are quite on point as well. I'm really looking forward to showcasing Todd in his own right, because I think it deserves recognition. And then hopefully in the new year, I'd like to feature both LG and Todd together on the show. So I'm waiting for Todd and my co-host Gemini to turn up for the show, and when she does, I'll bring her up. And Todd was running close with work, so hopefully he hasn't got stuck in traffic and will join us here. But welcome everybody to the room. I see Todd's most supportive person, LG, is in the room. Hi, LG. I hope you can rush that man along. Or have you given him a lot of chores that are keeping him occupied in the kitchen or something? I think my co-host has also forgotten to change time. We changed our time from 6 p.m. on Friday to 7:30 p.m. because Todd doesn't finish work till 6 o'clock, so to give him time to commute back, etc. Todd's come in the room. Apparently he was waiting in front of the computer for me to join. So my co-host, though, on the other hand, seems to have gone to sleep. Let's bring up Todd while we wait for Gemini. LG's been feeding him up with tequila, so wow, this could be an interesting show then. Todd, I'm trying to bring you up right now.
Hello.
Hi, Todd. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Not very good, thank you. First off, thank you very much for agreeing to be on the show. I've been looking forward to this.
No problem. You want me to tell you why I wasn't here?
Well, no.
Okay.
She said she was feeding you tequila,
Well,
but
no. I've been sitting in front of my computer waiting to see your icon go live.
oh,
And then I realized she said you were waiting for me, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." Apparently, I was not following you.
that's okay.
So
That's all right.
that'll do it every time. I am now, obviously. So I'm
So,
embarrassed.
Todd, so about the show is Gemini's just entered the room, so hopefully she'll put
Cool.
in a request and I can bring her up. So this show, as you know, it's all about our featured guest. This is all about you today. We want to like to provide this platform to showcase your work, your journey into writing, what drives you, what's coming up, what your plans are. And I'm really looking forward to it because I think you have a lot to talk about. And Gemini's just come in, so let's bring her up and we can get the show going.
Cool.
And the plan is in the new year, have both you and LG both on at the same time as we've done with Ram and Keneal. So I'm looking forward to it. And here is my co-host, Gemini. With the camera
Good
turned
evening,
off.
everybody.
Good
Hello.
evening. So, Gemini, I hope you're well.
Thank you. Likewise.
So, Todd, as I was saying, feel free. This is all about this platform. This whole next hour and 3/4 is all about you. Feel free to bring up any points that you want to showcase, anything you want to share in your poetry, and expounding on those. Again, you can be as open as you wish to. Now, reading through your bio,
Yes.
you said you apparently started writing about 5-6 years ago in 2019.
Yes. Yep. I dabbled in it a little bit before that. I'd had some previous IG accounts that I would just post a few things on. Ended up taking those down and took a break for a bit. And then in 2019, I separated from my wife, ex-wife, and decided to go ahead and start again. So the first piece I ever wrote for this account, it's actually not on my page anymore, but was about that, and just kept going from there. So this is before I didn't even know about lives at all. I didn't know about those until that was 2019. So I didn't know about lives until like 2020, middle of 2020. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think most of us were kind of oblivious to lives
Yeah.
until the pandemic.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Yep.
And look where that one step has taken you.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
You've connected with so many people on this platform. You've published your book. You've met LG. You've moved from US to Canada.
Yep.
Wow, that's a lot in 6 years or 5 years.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but it's been awesome though. It's been a great journey, and it's not over yet. So
Far
That's
from it,
beginning.
far
that's
from
right.
it, far from it.
Yeah.
And I am particularly looking forward to this show because what I found, you are ever so supportive from within the crowd or when you read DMs, and I'm really looking forward to giving this hour and 3/4 to showcase you to the community.
Sure. Are we taking DMs? Yeah, that's fine. That's great. I'll just
No,
be
no,
looking. Oh,
this is all
we're not.
about
Okay.
your work
Oh,
today.
okay. That's cool. Yeah, no problem.
This is all about you, your journey, and your work. And
Okay.
I like to
Fair enough.
expound with it, and I understand what drives some of your writing. I know you write from personal experience, medicine, history, etc.
Yeah.
But
Gosh. Yeah. No. I know a lot of my writing probably comes out of mental health issues, anxiety, depression, um, childhood memories, like glimpses, like little snippets of like almost like little movies that you remember from your childhood. Some of those go into my pieces. A lot of it, honestly, is like snippets of my past, just like scenes, like a night in college or, just some weird thing that I don't really know why I continue to remember it, but I'll, if I think it has some significance, or if I think I can make something interesting out of it in words, then I'll try to do that, So,
I can
The
fully
mind
understand.
is, go
Sorry,
ahead.
Jen. Go ahead.
I was going to say the mind is interesting that way. Sometimes
yeah,
the things we try to think about as we get older, they disappear, like where
yeah,
you left your car keys,
yeah, exactly.
someone's birthday. what you were supposed to do when you walked out of the kitchen into the bedroom.
Yeah,
But then
exactly.
there are those flashcards of memories that kind of stick with us, and we ruminate over them over and over again, unconsciously and unwillingly sometimes.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm glad you found good use for them.
Yeah.
Well, our past is our reference point
Yeah.
that we base today on, right? So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's experiences we saw and experienced with through our lives, and gives us
Yeah.
that reference. As long as we don't get bogged in it. I mean, I still refer to my childhood days to right now. Most of my writing is based on personal experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a foundation of who I am, and I fully align with that as an inspirator to pieces.
Yeah. 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 A lot of it comes from that. A lot of it, a lot of it comes from, like, if I listen to music lyrics, if there's something really interesting there that I think may have a deeper thought behind it, I'll explore that and put it, doesn't have to be anything deep on the surface, but if it makes me think of something else, then I'll kind of riff off of that. Same, like if I listen to audiobooks or podcasts or whatever, if somebody says something really interesting that gets me thinking, I'm like, oh, maybe that's something that I could write about. So yeah.
Again, yeah, I'm exactly mirror that as well. Music is my passion. My TV just collects dust on the wall, but I've always got music happening.
Mine is a picture most of the time.
Literally, a permanent picture of LG
Right.
there and here on the TV. There's music. I've always got it happening. Whatever I'm doing, 24/7 music's happening, even when I'm working. Or whether it's meditational, transcendental music, or more vocal sort of music, and they are always triggers, just words,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And look, one of my kept desires would have been I'd love to have met somebody like Van Morrison in person. I love his music, and I got just about every one of his albums. I'd love to meet somebody like him and have him put music to my words.
Yeah.
That
I've even written pieces that they're kind of like songs, but if I'm listening to a song and I like pick a melody out of it, then I've done this on airplanes before. I was like, pick the melody and then I'll write to the melody, almost like I'm writing a song, but it's not really a song. It's really a piece, but what's the difference? So yeah, I've been inspired just by a melody and a cadence to the song. I'm like, oh, well, I'll just change the lyrics to the song basically and just make a piece out of it.
That's interesting. Yeah, that thought hasn't crossed my mind. That's actually very good. Yeah, great.
I used to do that when I was younger. I have written entire songs that no one has ever heard.
Right. Yep.
And is the plan to keep writing, Todd? Is there another book on the way?
Yeah, eventually. My writing's kind of slowed down, which probably could be said for a lot of people. Partly because I'm just busier, now. Just, work, which is great. And just, new household and stuff like that. And honestly, for me, a lot of my writing in my first book was based on being in an unhappy place, or dwelling in that unhappy place for a while. And so I don't have that as not a motivator, as a muse, maybe. So now I'm actually having to think more about what I want to write about. And sometimes it comes out weird, like my last piece, which is just almost like a stream of consciousness, a bunch of random thoughts and images, snippets. So it's a little more, it's not as prolific as I have been, like in maybe 2020, 21, 22. Yeah. But yeah, I've got pieces lined up. I just have to wait until I get what I think is enough to put into a new book.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you've had a lot of change in the in the recent past, haven't you?
Yeah.
You know, changing places, which then countries of residence, and then that comes with change of work. I was with Angela last Tuesday at an open mic, and she was saying, like, for you, the adjustment even from having your own practice to now working for another
Yeah. Yeah.
vet sort of clinic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And, you know, just learning, I don't know, just changing jobs is always a learning curve. And, you know, maybe I spend more time thinking about that because I'm trying to get it right, you know, as
mm,
opposed to being on autopilot and just, you know, having all this extra mental time to think of other things.
mm,
So, but
Well, not
it's great.
well. It's not
But
just that. Usually, what we scheme off the top when we first start writing has everything to do with what we steeped in, and
yeah,
you had so much from your previous relationship, from being in an unhappy place, from childhood situations, that was just like pouring out of you.
yeah.
Now that you're in a happy place, you're actually experiencing joy.
Yeah.
So don't beat yourself up about
Oh,
not
yeah.
being able
Yeah.
to write. You are experiencing joy. So go back to short-term memory. Go back
Yeah.
to when you first saw LG and you thought to yourself, huh, she could be the one. So those are the things you start writing about
Yeah.
because in your everyday life, you don't have time to write about life and be inspired because you live in your joy. So go back to the
Yeah.
beginning of
Yeah.
that point and the poems will start flowing out. So I'm expecting
Yeah.
we're gonna have a love poem book coming
Oh,
up.
good. Yeah.
I think in LG, I think you've got a ever-changing subject there with her persona. I don't think you run out of things to write with that that crazy persona.
I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole.
I'm just
You're a
saying because
very,
I'm
very smart
3,000 miles
man.
away, so I can say,
You're a very smart
Yeah.
man. I would
Yeah.
not say
Yeah.
crazy. I'd say she's feisty.
She's
She's full of life and
she's vivacious. Exactly.
vivacious.
Exactly.
That's you see. Look at that. We already have a
Yeah.
title for the
There you
poem,
go.
vivacious.
There you go. Yeah.
so here, that leads me to another question. So now,
Yeah.
I mean, LG is a brilliant writer on her own again. How, living with another writer, how does that work? Does
Honestly, it almost never, it doesn't, I think I'm accurate in saying this, it doesn't really affect anything.
Mhm.
You know, she writes when well, our schedules are a little bit weird because I go to bed early because I have to get up earlier than her. And so I think she writes, she could probably speak to this, but I think she writes a lot of times when I'm in bed. um, and I kind of write on the fly. I write in my phone note app and just throw things down. And then when I've got 30 minutes or an hour, I'll come back to it and see if I can make it cohesive in some way or say anything with it. Um, but you know, and we used to actually do a lot of collabs when we were apart. You know, 700 something miles apart. Excuse me. So we did a lot of collabs, which are on a page. If anybody's interested, call what is it called? Collaborating Hearts. I think all one
Oh,
word. Um, so we've got a bunch of stuff there, but we haven't done a collab. And gosh, she could probably tell you, but it's been yeah, we have a collab. It's just been, gosh, it's probably been a couple of years. I bet 20,
that's
23 maybe would be my guess. There she go. There you go. There's the handle or the
wow.
page. Yeah. Um, but yeah, it's we don't really talk about writing, interestingly enough.
the that actually took me to my what was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
Because I actually have not read a collaboration between the two of you, and I
Oh,
was
really?
asking, going to ask you, is there anything that you've written together, or is there plans to write any collabs together? And here you are, you've got a whole page, so I am going to
That's right.
try and
Yeah.
look this up. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot. There's a lot there. Yeah. I'm just looking at it now. Some of it, some of it is we had plans for this page. We were going to feature originally it's just our collabs, and then we were going to feature other collabs, and there are a few of them on there. A few from other people, the more recent stuff. But yeah, there are a number, 1, 2, 9, 12, 15, 16. I don't know, it's probably close to 20 that we've written. I think that's right. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, you just spurred me on more now to have both you and LG on
Right.
together,
Yeah.
and I want to hear
Yeah.
all these collabs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is a great bit of tidbit information to have for when I do host you in the new year together.
If I'm not
Um,
mistaken, it looks like the last one we had on here, well, this is when we posted it, 2022. That's crazy. It's hard to believe. So
2020. Oh, right. So you haven't. Did you say that was the last one you've written
that's
together?
that's the last one that was posted on that page. So it was written before that. So yeah, it's been a long time.
Come on, LG, fire up.
That's right.
There you go. I've just followed that account, so
Awesome.
I'm looking forward to reading
Fantastic. Yeah,
some of this work.
it's a sleeper account, that's for sure.
Well, I'd never, yeah, as I said, I've never
Yeah.
heard any of your, seen any collabs or read any of your collabs. So now, thanks for that. I've just
Sure.
joined I've started following you, so I'm going to
Okay.
go and check out these collabs.
Fantastic.
Um, yes, LG. Tonight it's all about Todd.
Okay.
When I bring both of you, then you can do the collabs together. You can recite your own stanzas even. So yeah,
There you
we'll
go.
leave that for 2025.
There you go.
So Todd, speaking of your poetry,
Yeah.
uh, be keen to listen to. Let's start off with one of your pieces.
All right. See, I did not do any preparing. Let's see. I'll read something that's not in the book although I have the book here. Oh Lord. Okay. I'll just read the first. I think this is the first one on my page currently because I archived a bunch of things. This is from February 16, 2023. This is called A Day in Life. And I don't know about you guys, but when I go back and read my old stuff, I barely remember it. So it's be interesting. Like a ghost. Anyway. All right, a day in life. If you could look into my soul, inside my private space, what you'd see sitting cross-legged quietly there would make you spit in my face. Perhaps that is why I practice at looking away from the difficulties despite constantly wiping my eyes on the way to the mailbox. And it's then that it becomes clear that the obvious is not always obvious. Last night I gave thanks for time and for the days that did not follow me. But this morning I slid onto the floor supine, rubbing my hand along the end table leg, the way a dog makes amorous liberties with strangers. But I am reminded of the muscle spasms now more than the heartbreak. And as I lie on the luxury vinyl plank, the fan whispers tepid reminders of things I need to do before the day ends. If I can manage to sit for a minute, the dust that wafts by the sunrise window tells me more about myself than the pages of the last book I read. And I ask why again for the last time. The dust that wafts by the sunrise window tells me more about myself. Did anybody else hear that?
Yeah, there was an echo.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. All right. In the afternoon, I leave home and my knuckles seize as I reach for the doorknob, like when younger me tried being as offensive as conceivable in an effort to hide that heinous image that stows away in a dank recess of myself. It's a Smeagol under skin, and I scratch at it with lost purpose, unaware of the damage caused by dirty nails. I thin out as I make my way down the steps to the driveway in the same way I anathematized the bibliography of my childhood. What love belongs to the thinker's thoughts? What parched lip songs quench the drinker's heart? This life I live inside a rectangular clock seems to do nothing but strangle my mind. It scrambles and tensions and deconstructs and all the while anger gathers thick on misplaced ornaments, like the tartar chips of neglected arguments. Now I hear the uncensored thoughts of church mice, and I can't help but melt into a memory.
Wow. And that was me because I can't see my comments anymore.
Oh,
So I
that's,
put on a
yeah,
different device and
that's fine.
yeah. But what did you say about, repeat that line, the Smeagol line? Because,
Oh, yeah. It's a Smeagol under skin, and I scratch at it with lost purpose, unaware of the damage caused by dirty nails.
damn. Okay. If y'all are not Lord of the Rings fans, y'all
Yeah,
will not get that.
yeah,
You will not get that. It's not just that line, but the way that you have built this poem, and it's effortlessly. People usually pause so you can try to catch up because they think that, okay, people are not that smart. So let me pause so they can catch this metaphor. I love the way you just smooth over the entire thing and then it kind of hits you like something sweet on the palate with a spicy backdrop. So thank you so much for that.
thank
You're
you. Thank you.
welcome. I, I get excited with things like that because
Yeah,
like I
I do too.
I'd hate when people read and they read slow because they're like, let me let you taste it. It's like someone standing there while you're eating their food. I'm like, no, just walk away and ask me later. Walk away and
Oh,
ask
that's
me
great.
later.
There was a few lines there. You're very early in the piece. The obvious is not always obvious.
Yeah,
That's so profound.
yeah, yeah.
Even today, even at my ripe old age, quite often I miss things that are right under my nose.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know, it's very obvious, and I'm circumventing this big scenario, and the answer is right underneath my
Yeah,
nose, right in front of my eyes.
yeah,
And that line, something that I really align with is sitting by the window tells me blah 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 blah. That part, that's me. I live by myself, and I love
yeah.
that silence because I do live
Well,
with my thoughts and I live with
yeah,
my own self reflections. And yeah, whether it's sitting by the window or sitting on my couch just staring at the ceiling with some transient music going on, I
yeah.
very much align with that. The
Well,
other
it's,
one that I found fascinating was anesthetize the memory of my childhood.
yeah,
That's
uh, yeah. Um, it's yeah. Anathematize the bibliography of my childhood.
Mm.
Um, I'm not really sure. I'll be honest. When you ask me about my poems, there are going to be quite a number of things that I can't remember what they were about, and this is probably one of them. Um, I would have known when I wrote it, but I can't think of it now,
But that's
honestly.
the beauty. That's the
Yeah,
beauty. Mr. Witz said something. Once you, when you're thinking of a poem, it's for you.
yeah,
Once you write it down, once it's out of you, it's not for you anymore.
yeah,
Every single person who's had a childhood memory that they wish they could vanquish or they
yeah,
wish they could repeat again, just the good parts.
yeah,
They understood what you meant by that line.
yeah,
I am happy that you no longer remember because
yeah,
you free it up to the reader and then you release it from yourself.
yeah.
So I am happy that you no longer remember that.
Thank you.
You're
It's funny you
welcome.
mentioned Rainier about living by yourself. As I was living by myself at the time, and as I was reading it, I remember this third stanza. I remember where I was in, in my living room, and I remember that for some reason I was laying on the floor, and I remember rubbing the end of the leg of the end table, and for some reason I thought this is an interesting image. Maybe this could go in in a piece. I don't even know what I was doing. Maybe I was stretching or something, and I just remember reaching out and grabbing the leg of the end table. I don't know why it stuck with me, but yeah,
no, the reason
Wow.
that line is gets me is because it's a double-edged sword with some people who've had very dysfunctional childhoods. Yes, it's good to forget and seal that part away. To me, I'm gifted with a photographic memory. I can't remember names and numbers, but I could describe a room, a picture. I can describe every house that I've lived in since I was 5 years old, all the inside of it. But I couldn't tell you the street name.
Right.
And Dad being in the police, we were shifted every year. So I was I can see where my nomadic life came from early childhood. I was used to hello goodbyes because every year I would go to a different school and so forth. So because you make friends and let them go and then make friends. So it's had its good things, I can just adapt to any place.
Yeah.
But my early childhood memories, I had Mum and Dad loved us the best, and they gave us the best they could even through difficult times. But then I had pain of losing my father when I was 12, and so forth. Today, I still carry that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I also reflect on the love and the pain that I did have that gave me the strength. And then, for fear of loss, I could only love Mum from behind a wall. That then made sense to when my early relationships where I could only love from behind a wall.
Yeah.
So I reference a lot of my childhood, but then I can see I know other people who really need to blank out that chapter in their life. It's a really double-edged sword.
Absolutely.
And I've got to read out Jolene's comments. Oh, Suki, this guy, brilliant, thoughtful, funny, kind man. And then on the back of that, like a reverse slap, you're okay too, Rainier. Thank you, Jolene. I'm glad I've sort of,
I like Danny's comment. Memory is tricky at Todd's age. That's true.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And the thing, but from behind a wall, I mean, it's, not this a session on the couch, but I mean, a lot of, obviously the way we live our lives and our relationships are influenced by ways that we had to learn to live and survive in childhood, emotionally or whatever the case may be. But yeah.
Exactly. And that's, I think, something that we each need to come to terms on our own, because say to me, losing my father at that young age, to somebody else losing their father at that age, it's still not the same, because their level of attachment to their father might have been greater or less than mine was.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, not to get too personal, but my relationship with my mom is still, it's not strained. It's just awkward, maybe the best term, and it's not because there's any lack of love. It's just, I mean, there's just all the lifetime of things that build up, and I still struggle with how to manage that,
Yeah, look, and I think these things happen, and I'll speak for myself. I find these things that have happened in my life, every trauma and tragedy and good thing, has all led to my growth. Through my teen years, I was that prodigal son because I could not let Mum closer than anything, and I knew that was breaking her heart. And Dad passed away on the 21st of December, so I always found a reason to cause some argument, unpleasantness coming that time. It was me letting out my hurt, and then it made me stop and think. Mum and Dad, as poor as they were, tried to give us the best Christmas they could. And I wanted to someday, I was far from having children. I was 27 at the time. I was far from having children. I was too busy being a nomad. I wanted to give my children the kind of Christmas Mum and Dad gave us. So on my 26th birthday, I remember going up in the hills on my own, just dehydrated food for 2 weeks, and leaving my mum crying at the door. She wanted me there at Christmas. And I said, Mum, I have to do this. And I went up on that hill. I walked. I lived on dehydrated foods and fruit. Walked, laid by creeks and read when I went climbing up and down these mountains, away from human beings. When I wanted to cry, I just yelled and cried into nothingness. There was nobody to put their arms and say, "It'll be all right, son," and pacify me. I just let out all that pain, and then I came back down from the mountain, and then since then I've been able to enjoy Christmas.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I've never felt so alone in the world as that Christmas, and I remember it.
Yeah.
I'm 64 now. I was 26
Right.
then, and I remember that as clear as anything.
Yeah.
But that was a big part of
Yeah.
in overcoming it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I really aligned to that piece, Todd.
Oh,
That's yeah, triggered off a lot of my own
thank
thoughts
you.
and
Thank you. Well, you want me to read another one?
yes,
It's up to
please,
you.
certainly.
Um, well, I did this. Wait a minute, where is it? Oh, so I did a series. Wait a minute. I've done a few on April, the month of April. Um, Part of it is because I'm in love with T.S. Eliot's Wasteland. Probably the one, probably the most, that or Divine Comedy, probably the most heaviest influences on me. Just in, not necessarily the way I write, but just the way I think, maybe.
Nice.
Anyway,
That's not a
um,
bad way to think. I like Mr. Elliot.
yeah, he's pretty amazing. But so this one's called Ode to April. This has always been the cruelest month, attempting to avenge my life through the tattoo on my leg, letting me down on May 0th, showing me that I am the abyss in every sight I see, every sound I hear and thought I glean, the depthless void in every limb, tingling numbness in the boundless end, the unknown dark in deepest caves, the void in cold hearts, the frozen veins of a lifeless life, a cavern in the sulcus of the blankest brain and the blackest holes within my eyes. There is a surf green madness in my hollowed out ears. Memories of impudence flash the pan, and the irrevocable heartbreak of insolence lowers itself down again. Face plant, palms chilled. I have claimed to see, but only dreamt. I still try to be, but always fail. I have goals to reach, but no gas remains. I hope to burn with them in paisley flames and dine upon the roasted pine aftertaste. April seeps across the late afternoon horizon like oil leaking from Olympic sclera. The shadow man with the pearl eye stands on the rooftop, beckoning me to join him far above the fireflies. My feet tap against the chair, knuckles ache with disdain, spine creaks with the hyperalgesia of black-eyed memories. The figure in the barren wheat field has waved to me and stared for ages. Its piercing siren rips my tympanum, and the two of us are no longer connected by the cognac soil of our mutual rage. There is a strawberry blonde melancholy in my space this night, while my eyes trace out the grains of this floor covered in fake vinyl wood, like just like how I let you down that last time. And the autumn blaze in the bulbs overhead reveals that everything here is painted to look like it should. Teeth chatter, splatter pattern. I keep waiting for this month to avenge me before the tinnitus of disappointment hits me, but the floor is falling, the sand sliding away. Can spring stop the water rising? Do dreams come true when the flow of the soul is bathed in cobalt blue?
Jeez, man. Your imagery. Everything you said, I don't know how I can get the feeling of strawberry blonde. I don't understand how I felt that.
Thank you. I have a drink else
Normally,
too.
normally a piece has some brilliant lines. That every line was from start to end.
Oh,
I mean, just to name a few, the blackest hole within my eyes. How relatable is that? How many? I'm sure we can all recall a time where we've looked in the mirror
yeah.
after a big tragedy or a loss, and looked at those eyes and looked at that dead soul inside. You know, I have claimed to see, but only dreamt.
Yeah.
What a line! And
Beautiful.
there's another line, depthless void in every limb or something. My goodness, every damn line in that was just amazing, Todd.
Well, just to give you some idea, we talked about glimpses of things. There's actually part of this that is part of the imagery in here is from a kind of a corny, like alien abduction movie that I watched. But the imagery is like sometimes you see imagery like in a horror movie or something. It's the whole movie may not be good, but you see these images and you're like it gets like chills down your spine.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh my God, that's really spooky. That's a really creepy image. And I actually, as I was reading it, I remembered that movie that I was watching. So anyway.
No, you have to share the imagery now.
Yeah.
You can't just leave me hanging like that.
Oh it's this line about the figure. So this alien in whatever image, is kind of like a murky figure is standing in a wheat field, and he's just staring at this. It's one of these like not found footage, but it's like a like a homemade video thing or whatever. And they created some loud ring super loud sound, and everybody's like paralyzed or whatever. But anyway, that's where that came from. I thought, man, that's a really cool scene.
Dude. Okay.
They say that a gift gives both ways, and now, as I said, the whole objective of this show is to provide our featured guests the opportunity to showcase them and their work. But what I get out of this is I love getting to know what inspired different pieces, and listening to that piece, I would not have thought that your trigger was from a sci-fi.
Well, that wasn't the trigger. It wasn't the trigger for the whole piece, but I think I was probably in the middle of writing the piece, and then I saw that, and I was like, whatever. Oh, I remember something
Wow.
else. Okay, so I'll tell you some other thing. This might be interesting to you. I just remember this. A lot of the color imagery on this, it's funny, this is coming to my mind. Surf green, Olympic, there's another one in here that the roasted pine, paisley
Mm-hmm.
flames. I got all of those colors looking at a catalog of Fender guitars, the custom shop. These are all color options. I just was randomly, I was like, wow, those are really cool color names. And I decided I'm gonna put some of those in this piece. Anyway,
This
I
is
never,
what
I
I
never,
love.
I never ordered anything, but so
Now, speaking of guitars,
yes,
and come to learn that you've got a passion for guitars, so you
yes.
obviously play. Do you ever put music to your words or as background music even?
No, I haven't actually. I've, I've when I was in college, this was early on. I started playing when I was maybe 15, um, and guitars, and I was never very good at putting lyrics to music. I don't know why. I just didn't put enough effort and time into it or studying it. But yeah, so I've never really done that. Yeah,
Uh,
I'm not much of a guitarist. I just kind of doodling on it. It's a perishable skill. So if you don't spend time keeping it up, you kind of lose it.
well,
I
LG
I
is trying to throw you under the bus. He said, make him show you about the guitars.
I'm
All right.
curious.
All right, fine. Fair enough. Let's see.
Yay.
How do I do this? Okay.
And the
Turn this
reason I
around.
asked, Todd, I
Yeah.
can't play any
Oh
music.
my gosh.
So
Wow.
that's, and then
Oh
I've
my
got,
God.
sorry, pardon the house. And then those are my acoustics
Oh,
there. So
I was just going to ask you if all of those are electrical, if you had any acoustics.
yeah. And some of those in there are acoustic too, or one of them is.
The
Wow.
Let me
one
see if I can do
at
this without.
the very end to the right, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a resonator.
I I only know
So
because of the shape.
yeah,
I
yeah.
wanted to. My son played the guitar for one semester, and I've always
Uh-huh.
wanted to play. So the shapes of the guitars kind of stick out to me a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I love it. I mean, I love playing it, but I also just love, I don't know, it's probably says something about me psychologically. I just love having them. I don't know why.
So you like being surrounded
Yeah, it's just
by,
I just like having them nearby. That's basically it.
but
Yeah.
okay, so you cannot, okay, I hate that you're judging yourself, and I'm going to stop you because I have mountains of fabric. I love I love making clothing, and I
Yeah.
have several notebooks because I
Mm,
love poetry. There's something, even though I don't write in them, I record my poetry.
right.
There's something that brings me comfort knowing that I have a piece of paper and a pen available, and I have
Yeah.
fabric just in case I get inspired.
Exactly. Exactly. And sometimes I'll
Okay.
pick it up and just strum it or do something for 5 minutes, and then it's like my fix or something.
Yes, and that's a good fix to have. You see,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
alternative only spells trouble. So
That's
keep
right.
your
I was gonna say I could probably I've consoled myself in that I could probably have much more malicious habits, or
exactly
not malicious, but yeah,
Well, wants
problematic.
you. LG
yeah,
wants you to.
problematic. Yes,
LG wants you to show us your favorite, and while he's saying that he's modest, he's not too shabby a player. So don't understate yourself, Todd. Sounds like you're a better player. And the reason I asked about if you
yeah,
ever even play background music to your own
yeah,
recitals, I don't play any music at all the instruments. And one of my team members at work,
mhm,
he's been playing guitar for a while, and he just plays as he find it. When he's stuck
right,
on some code or something, he goes and
right,
plays, and it just clears his mind. And probably about a month or two back, I did one of my just a short little recital, and he put in a guitar
wow, yeah,
backing track to it, and it was really good. It really came,
very
and that's
cool,
what I thought. You've
yeah,
got the talent there to do your own as
yeah,
well.
yeah, and I could do it, and I might try to do that at some point. Because yeah, I mean, I've got the setup to record it on the computer and all that business, but yeah, uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
When you find more brain space, I'm sure
ex
something will come to you.
exactly,
But the thing
exactly,
is
yeah,
that you're going to be overly prepared for whatever you need because
yes,
you have
yeah,
quite a bit to
yeah,
choose
I've got,
from.
I've got more than I need, that's for sure.
Oh, stop.
you've got a guitar
Not
shop there.
necessarily.
I know, yeah. Well, I figure at least when I'm gone, they'll probably retain some value for my daughters if they want to sell them or whatever. So,
Well, yeah, you have a book already. That
yes,
means you already left a legacy,
yeah,
more than just for them individually. The world has some of your poetry, and if
yeah,
anything, the world will know the rest of you. So this
yeah,
is something for you, for your family. It could be an inside joke, and Todd has so many guitars.
right,
But
yeah, yes,
but this is something beautiful. This is something that you're known for. People know what to give you as far as like what's close to your heart. Have you ever
right.
written any poems about your guitars?
I did actually, and it was funny. LG wanted me to
Yay!
my favorite song. Okay, here it is. It's in my. This one's actually in my book,
Okay.
and I'll show you the guitar. And I named it after its color. Okay, this is the guitar. This one.
Oh,
It's called
that's beautiful.
Butterscotch.
All right.
So anyway, that's the guitar. And
I'm just reading LG's comments here, and I go, how the hell do you ever have a serious conversation with her? When you said you've got the gear to record stuff, she puts in a comment, Todd has all the gear.
oh Jesus Christ. Sorry.
Don't be sorry. You're
Okay.
lucky.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
I am. I am. Yes, I am.
Uh,
All right. Words.
Speaking of your book,
Yeah.
Todd, let's show the audience your
Okay.
book and
Yeah.
where they can get it. LG, plug it in the comments where you can get the book.
It's called A Good Dark. An
Mm.
interesting story. This is, you can tell, is a shiny. When I sent it to Amazon, I told them I wanted it in matte, and they sent me. This is a one of a kind. It's the only one in existence that's the gloss. Anyway,
Nice.
so yes, it's A Good Dark. That's what it's
Yeah.
called. And shout out if anybody wants to tag her in the comments. I got the name from written by Shannon, who's
Nice.
well with used to be Anti-Poetic Revolution. She's still around, but she doesn't do lives as much anymore. Anyway, so somehow it came up. I said something about in our chat that my poetry was always dark, and she's like, "Yeah, but it's a good dark." And I was like, "Oh, wow, it's a great name for a book." Anyway, this is called Ode to Butterscotch. Sorry. 10 steps leading down to where I found the home of my rattled scars. Nickel-wound goddesses creep along my spinal column, whispering deceitful promises. These 6 horsemen of Tantalus call me. 13 lives that never existed among colors, pretending to be in love with one another, trapped under their icy cords, blood spilled tightly on maple board. Vibratory copulation, fingers ever leaking, where pride is sacrificed to physics and tone is the prize of seeking. 17 intervals of masochism bent over the pillory, and my heart was spliced on their reefs of loneliness, hailing gods of war and heartbreak's atonement, imaginary friends and the scourge of fine circles, divinity cut down amidst the raging chaos of reversal. 30 stones inside my stomach, writhing down some darkened halls, warning me the Minotaur cometh. They call to me with moaning horns of dearth and grips enticement. You'll never be enough to command our worth or earn your own refinement. 42 eyes that refused to testify for demons over the mountain's peak. The fog descended and I knew again. I knew the ending and witnessed the refrain. A coming blizzard, lava's brain, set aside for lucre's stain. 52 ghosts of weeks have now leached into the aquifer of my penultimate defeat. This would be the death of me, the end of what I want to be. A clarion call in these mud-filled ears, calloused layers upon calloused years.
Penultimate. Someone taught me what that word meant. Could you tell the audience what penultimate means?
It's like the next to the greatest, right? I think it's not the ultimate, but the penultimate is one layer below the ultimate.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
That last line, callous layers upon calloused years. Phew.
Yeah.
That there is, again, such a relatable line, isn't it? Sometimes you, well, as parents, but even us as adults, I know somebody's trying to give us good words of advice, but it falls upon deaf ears. And with children in their teen years, where they have the answer to everything and they think they know the whole world, and they don't want to hear the age of the wisdom of our experience, right? But,
right, yeah.
And another line that I fully resonated with: the fog descended, and I knew again. Once the turmoil and the clouds dissipate, the trials of tribulations.
Yeah.
We know, don't we?
Yeah. What is that? I can't even remember. It's
the fog descended, and I knew.
Oh,
again.
the fog descended. Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, that was, and in fact, I remember now the numbers at the beginning of each stanza. There's 6 stanzas: 10, 13, 17, 30, 42, and 52 are the gauges of the strings from smallest to thickest. So.
Nice.
So there was obviously a lot related to playing the guitar.
Yeah.
Was that something about that particular guitar, or generally playing?
At the time I wrote that believe it or not, I had that guitar and then I had one acoustic. So I've accumulated a lot of these in the last couple of years. But no, but that was the guitar that I played for years. So that's kind of not my first. It's the first guitar I bought as an adult. I had one that I bought as a teenager, but yeah, that was the first one I actually bought and paid for myself. So.
Nice.
Now, as I said, this hour and 45 minutes is all about you. So if you feel like, while we discuss poetry and all, if you feel like showcasing some
No.
of your work on the guitar,
Oh,
feel free to.
oh God, no. LG can tell you I'm very, very shy about playing the guitar. So,
Oh my.
yeah.
Well, you didn't have to say like, oh God, no. Like it's
Well,
um
I mean, I
I'm
just, it's just, I mean, I don't know. I never feel like I'm good enough to play, I don't know, play, for anybody. It's kind of I don't know. It's just like kind of like it's like a hobby, almost like reading, maybe,
Hmm.
well,
Hmm.
what
sort of.
I think it's like it's something more intimate than that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
that's
that
true.
it's like so if you're not into PDA and you want to embrace the person that you're with and kiss them passionately, you will feel comfortable doing it in front of other people.
Yeah,
You feel uncomfortable. Yeah,
yeah,
you feel uncomfortable in front of other people. So your guitar is something that is very intimate. That's your time. That's why you have
yeah,
them around so you can pick it up when you want to, without any judgment, without anything. And that is your most honest moment, just experiencing that and then putting it down and knowing that you can come back to it again.
yeah, yeah. That's true.
So you don't have to share until you're ready.
Yep.
Yeah.
As
Uh,
I said, it was
oh
just an
yeah,
invitation.
yeah,
I just wanted
yeah.
to know that you've got,
I,
this
I,
is all about you.
I appreciate it.
I don't
Yeah,
have a,
I'm curious as well
yeah.
because I think you play better than you think you do. But I
Well,
think,
well, it's like Danny told me a long time ago. We were having a DM and or chat about something, and he's like, and I said, "Yeah, I play guitar. I don't really play. I'm not really very very good at it." And he's like, "Well, you're better than I am." So it's like, okay, fair enough. I wanted to address Jolene. She was asking about my other influences, like writing influences. What did she say here? I did not. I never kept a journal. I've never kept a journal. I tried. Um, I say I tried. I mean, I could have done it. It's not like it was impossible, but I just could never stick to it. I tried that like in 2012, I remember, but I never stuck to it. And as far as writing, um, most of my influences are are writers that I was exposed to. I had a phenomenal junior and senior year English teacher in high school. He introduced me to T.S. Eliot. D.H. Lawrence was a huge. I love
yeah.
D.H. Lawrence. Just the imagery and the whole, what is it? The repressed Victorian, where everything is a symbol of genitalia and
Oh, yeah.
So I love that. I probably should have said it that way, but I did. I enjoyed it. I thought it was clever. It was clever. So that this. I mean, poets. Robert Frost, which is kind of a
Oh,
standard.
that's my
Um,
guy.
yeah, um, those are probably the biggest influences as far as writers go. Um, yeah,
oh, geez, that's there with Jolene saying not so shy after a few Moscow mules.
oh, is that what we
He's
had?
letting
No,
in all your dirt or dirty laundry out here.
yeah, that's true, Jolene. Whatever goes into the teenage, boy. Do I read? I don't read any fiction now. Interestingly enough, I don't. I say none. I mean, most of what I read now, and when I say read, I know it's not necessarily. Some people have different feelings about this. I listen to a lot of audiobooks, um, so it's not really reading. But I absorb things better when I hear them than when I read them.
Okay.
Um,
So you're an audio learner?
yeah, like I can listen to a lecture and pick up a lot more than if I read the lecture, in
Mm-hmm.
notes or whatever. Um, but most of what I listen to is actually like nonfiction, weird. It's not weird. It may be weird things uh, like algorithms and things like almost like research type things. Like I listen to things about medicine and you know, sociology, psychology. The brain really is interesting to me. Some of the weird things that the brain will do that we're not even aware of. You know, we think we know. We think we know what we're thinking, but it's really not us thinking it. It's some other, weird things firing or what. I don't know. It's just, those are the kind of things that really keep my interest. And I get a lot of ideas for writing from stuff like that. Just things that take me off on a tangent, and I just start thinking about weird things. And so
The I do like the variety of influences, and it's reflected in your work, as you said, personal experiences to other great known authors. And one of the influences you mentioned was medicine.
Yeah, and it's not.
I'd be
Yeah,
really keen to hear one of those pieces, because that's something that I just wouldn't have even thought as an inspiration.
I'm not sure if. Oh, that's an interesting question. I don't know that any of my pieces are like wholly about medicine, but like some. I find sometimes for me, again, this is writing for me, like Gemini said, if I can pick a word that's a medical word that'll have enough of a meaning, and it'll give me the word economy, to not have to say it in 10 words, but I can say it in 1 or 2 words, and it'll say what I want to say. So it's maybe kind of a vocabulary thing, but also the body, is a very interesting machine, particularly the brain. But I get that's really what I mean when I say medicine, I think. I don't think I've actually, I could be wrong. I can't remember probably 90% of what I've written as far as being able to pull it up in my mind. But I don't think I've actually written anything that's really medically based, or that's about a medical topic, maybe is what I should say. I don't think I have, now that I think about it.
But yeah,
That's interesting.
I found that a really interesting sort of stimulant for work.
Yeah, it's really more of just like another like another palette that I can pick from if I'm running out of other ways to say something, and it's not conscious. It'll just, you do it for long enough, and like I have to watch myself sometimes. I'll be talking to somebody and I'll see myself throwing out something that I'm like, they're not gonna know what that means. That's totally obscure. Shut up. Find another word. Anyway.
But that's beautiful, though, to be able to glean from so many experiences, so that you don't have to rely on just a thesaurus or
Well, it's
there's
probably
nothing
like
wrong with a thesaurus.
yeah. Well, it's probably like somebody that works in I don't know, engineering or computers. They've got a source of vocabulary that will speak to them that would not mean much to me at all.
Yeah.
Correct.
So,
And even people that are in the field of medicine, or let's say the field of engineering, that do not read or are not inclined to poetry, if they come across your work, then they can resonate with it, they can understand, because it's written in their language.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And I
That
know
widens your audience.
and I know some of the people in the community of, I think Mia maybe is one that has occasionally commented about some medical term I've used. It's like, okay, she knows what that word means. So,
How do you feel when that happens, though? How does that
I don't
make
know.
you feel?
It's kind of cool. I mean, it's just, again, it's that like you were saying, it's like you write it for yourself, and it has a meaning to you at the time, and then somebody else reads it and they point out a word like that, and you're like, oh yeah, I guess that's not really a common term that everyday folks use. So obviously this person knew what that word was, and so
Yes.
they got something maybe similar to what I was trying to say with that word, or that phrase or whatever it might be. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
What's next, Todd?
Yeah. Oh gosh, that's a good question. Let's see. What else? I'm just.
Do you have a
Let's
poem
do.
that you find yourself going to over and over again?
I
Joel.
think.
I know my chosen profession as a rodeo clown shows up in. Oh, you crack me up, Jolene.
There
Between you
is.
and me, you're a
I'll tell you
stand-up
what.
comedy act.
There is the one the poem I mentioned. It was the first one I ever wrote after my ex-wife, and I split.
Mm-hmm.
It's in a company of poets. If if LG is available, could you find it on the bookshelf behind me, por favor? I don't know if she's. I don't know. There's a delay. But if she can find that, I will. Oh, I'll tell you what. There is another one that's
She's here. She's gonna look for it.
yes. In the meantime, I will read another one. This is okay. There is another one that most people really like every time it's read, so I'll read that one too.
Okay.
But
Hello.
Hi, LD. That's
Quick
so
little
cute.
sneak peek.
let's see, where am I at in here? Da, 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 da. Oh, there I am. Okay. Oh Lord, page 34. Okay. So I'll read. This was the first one that I wrote, and okay. See if I can read this. Okay. It's a little long. It's actually, yeah. Anyway, so this is called Dreams and Endings. I don't think I've ever read this out loud. Anyway, she reads on red wings, dreams and streams, some vulgar things. You saw me yesterday, that dress I wore. Beautiful. I don't recall. Walls gilded in glistening dew. Remember the day plucked? I like the way you touch me there. Don't stop, please. God, continue. The feelings you create the feeling you create stirs me, always brings me to a new height. Now sing me away in a coffin, a face, a ladder leaning, splinters amaze, contractual moorings, arson and haste, water mistakes, a fumbling disgrace. Peel the skin, it hurts to touch. Don't touch me, I hate that feel. You insist on torturing me, why? Leave me untouched, untouchable. Save your voice for better verse. Thrash away swiftly the proverbial horse. Better meaning and truth of will. Add and subtract the emotional till. I remember the days we were happy, cliched yet typically radiant, alive, smiles, laughter, and no truer love. Could we perhaps replay those scenes? I stare too long at the light in the ceiling, recessed and warm, its halo, my dreaming, conversing with it, eyes open and squinting. We manage agreement with light relenting. These memories are painful. Nostalgia is just not my thing. Please stop talking about the past. If I could change, if only. Stop. What act is action? When words become sound, when girls control boys standing, sifting in sand, what mindfulness sprays from levers not pulled? Where are the ones we wait for? Why are there none? The song of your voice, fluttering, the whisper of my name off your lips, moans, sighs, pleasantries, and the enjoyment, thunderous notes in my symphony. He raised his tongue to click, to spit, a reprimand of passion, the bridle and bit, representing her yearning in bland, muted tones, his failure in those lives, his yoke, their stone, that that shrill, vindictive yell, the harsh disappointment in a voice. I dream of these and wake alarmed, angered, wishing I could forget the noise, the screams. Sins of the mother covered over by rocks, floating with the organization of gnats in flight, seeping oil from creases in a cardboard box, fleeing under shadows behind bloodshot sight. The look you had when you smiled took my breath away, fiercely contagious. I was always striving to recreate it in you, a wondrous urge to repeat the bliss. We led each other, palms joined once, towards fences built and trenches dug, simpleness of thought, content inside parts. Which way are you looking? What stares dare? Dark, hateful eye cast onto me, burning, burning through every pore, charred, dejected and rejected, abject disgrace. Please don't look. Turn away. We fell behind the deadline walls where dust and rats and dead cats crawl, when smart ideas were thrown away for love with hope and fresh decay. Asserting faith in larger things, I stayed a course in smallest rings, danced with demons I knew before, then left them hiding under wood-planked floors. Pulses thread while tears vibrate, and bleaker thoughts contrive their escape, covered scars behind thickened lids over eyes that dreamt in melted film. Lend me your words, lay them here. Hear the blood course, watch me steer around the fear of wanting. It compresses our sight against half-truths and promises, ideas and lies. Those nights alone, long and cold, foreboding tones and brittle bones, memorials to pain and fear left stains, like curious forms of childhood play. And so the endings sewn on patchy jeans, and our bandages stuck on happy scenes, those internal sounds from airless depths in culverts and compost of some other selves. Whew.
Oh,
Long way.
Anyway. Okay, anyone who's ever had the whole love and lost experience knows exactly what this feels like. I can't even pull out a line. I can only pull out like 2 or 3 words. Patchy jeans and the last line. Could you repeat the last 2 lines for me?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Let me get.
No, you're fine.
Last couple of lines. There's a thing about patchy jeans. Oh yeah. And so the endings sewn on patchy jeans and our bandages stuck on happy scenes. Those internal sounds, it should be sounds, that's a typo. Those internal sounds from airless depths and culverts and compost of some other selves.
Culverts and compost of some other selves. That, man, the decaying of the love that you had, the joy, that experience, that you're no longer that person. That person died along with the relationship in between.
Yeah.
Okay. I love your work.
Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
got to echo Jolene's sentiment here, Todd. It's really, really an absolute pleasure and an honor to hear you read your own work, because you're always reading the work of others on the DMs on your platform on Glass of Mead. It really is. And every piece so far, look, if I would listen to a poem just for one good line. 3 or 4 good lines is a bonus. But man, yours from start to finish, they're just phenomenal lines. You know, with this one here, walls decorated in glistening dew. I mean, I'd love to know where your mind goes to like to get these lines. And then sing me away in a coffin, save your voice for better verse. You know, sins of the mother covered by rocks. Holy mackerel! That line, Jesus. I would travel 1,000 miles to hear a poet recite that line. Sins of the mother covered by rocks, you know. And one that I resonate so much and I even use quite often, dance with demons I knew before.
Yeah.
I've relate to that line so much because if I look at a lot of my past relationships, where when a particular type of person, the lessons I didn't learn there, my next relationship was a replica of that person that I learned. So as soon as you read that line, I have jumped back to like 30 years
Yeah.
to a couple of consecutive relationships, clearly because I refuse to learn, you know,
Yeah.
and covered scars behind thickened skins. I mean, my God, it just goes on. Like it was just, I really, really am enjoying having the pleasure of just hearing you read your work continuously. This is awesome. And this is why I love this show. You know, it really gives us
Yeah.
to an opportunity to A, showcase the featured poet, but also to get to know what inspired them, what triggered some of
Yeah.
these pieces, where these lines come from, how their minds work. You know,
Yeah.
that's it's phenomenal. As I said, every gift gives two ways, and this is what I get out of the time and effort we put into this show, and getting to know the poets more intimately. You know, their minds,
Yeah.
their writing,
Yeah.
their the drivers. That's yeah.
I appreciate it. So I'll read you this. This is the one that comes to mind when you ask, which I come back to a lot, and I do come back to this one a lot. This one's been read on several lives. In fact, the first person to read this on a live was LG. Um, I wrote this 2021. There was a poet on here, and I don't know if he's still here or not. Eric, Evocations of Eric was his handle, and um, he put out a piece and a prompt, I guess, which was to the me I used to be. And this is one of those that kind of spilled out. I remember I was working nights, and I had read the poem overnight, and then when I got in my car to go home in the morning, I had my phone and I was just throwing it all in, talk to text. Um, but this is to the me I used to be. This one is in the book. Okay. Life gets harder as you go, not easier. If anyone tells you otherwise, ignore them. Parts will seem easier, and you'll get better at some things, but on whole, you have to level up along the way. That's okay. You'll get smarter in some areas and dumber in others, but you won't realize either until too late to take full advantage or make corrections. That's okay. You're going to fall in love more than you think, many more times, but you won't act on it every time. You'll regret that after a while, and you may not learn the lessons you should, because even when your heart tells you different, even when your head tells you different, you'll continue to follow your heart. That's okay. You'll accomplish some of your goals, not all. Some you'll lose interest in, some you'll fail to reach, and some you'll grow to hate. That's okay. You'll be hurt in ways you can't expect or predict by those you thought would never, and it'll kill part of you. Don't wait around for the resurrection because it won't come. That's okay. You'll have two wonderful daughters, and you'll be more proud of them than you ever will be of your own accomplishments. They'll show you parts of yourself that you never knew and never will again. That's quite okay. You'll have to make changes you won't want to make that upend your plans for your mental and emotional survival, plans you'll hate to make, and that will make you hate yourself for a time. That's okay. You'll fight against death more than you should have to, but you'll keep winning until time and nature take you in the end, but you won't always see the way out in the moment. That's okay. You'll find people at times when you didn't want to find people. They will change your outlook, people that will give you hope after you swore the last drop had left the faucet. And you'll struggle with decisions and choices that you weren't expecting when you thought you were done with those decisions. That's okay. You'll make the right ones. Just jump. Finally, though probably not, there will be times you look back and regret some things, maybe a lot of things, but you can't change those, so stop obsessing over them and move forward so the next phase can unfold, because it will be better, harder. Remember, it doesn't get easier, but the new will be better and you'll be okay. Whew.
I love the resignation in that piece. It's kind of like a quiet acceptance without defeat.
Yeah. Yeah.
I envision many parents sitting there talking to their children in their adolescent years
Yeah.
as they're finding their feet, and that repeated line, "That's okay." And I think that's the key that as parents we got to remind ourselves, right? We always
Yeah.
try to make it foolproof, idiot proof for our children. Like you must do this, you know,
Yeah.
you must do this, otherwise you. But to let them know that it's okay if you reach for 10 steps, but you only touch the sixth. That's okay.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
keep trying to reach that 10th
Yeah.
step. You know.
Yeah. And the thing about that, and the reason the prompt resonated with me so much is, I guess, you live long enough and you look back and you realize, I used to think this way. I was wrong. I screwed this up. I messed this up. I didn't do this right. But with enough time, you realize it's okay. It's fine. You'll be fine. Things aren't nearly as bad in the moment as they seem, or sometimes nearly as good as they seem.
That makes me chuckle, Todd, because I am a bit of a perfectionist. You know, like all my
Yeah.
T's got to be crossed and I's got to be dotted, and everything's got to. People think I've got OCD. My desk is always lined up and things. But to accept that, that it's okay.
Yeah.
Things don't have to be 110%. It took me, only very, in the last, let's say, 5, 10 years, and I'm a bloody old relic, that's about to go to a museum, and and it's took me all that part of life to accept that, that it's okay.
Yeah. 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 Well, and
Um,
you can't go back and undo it. You can't, what's been done is done. All you can do is work with what you got where you're at.
Yeah, and funnily, as I said, I've got a lot of hindsight to look back on. When I look back in hindsight, sometimes those very things that I did that I should not have done is what led me to the lessons that made me the man that I am today.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, for all of the pain or whatever, came in the past, you know, it's it's like the idea of the multiverse, right? What if I had done this thing and it would have been a completely different path, and
Yes.
you'll never know, and it doesn't really matter anyway because all you've got is what you got here in the
Yeah.
present.
Sometimes you got to walk down those dead ends.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, so no, very, very potent piece, Todd. As I said, I could see many a parent having that very same conversation with their kids, and it was a beautiful conversation to have
Yeah. For sure.
setting the adolescent mind for success.
Yeah. 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 And I never really thought about it when I was writing it that way, but you're right. It could be not a roadmap, but at least a creed or something, that all the things you're going to screw things up. Everybody does.
Yeah,
Just don't, just accept
yeah,
it. And it's going to be okay, and do the best you can to do it different next time. So,
yeah, yeah. Todd, I think your work is very empowering for people on life's journey, and very encouraging, and um, very factual. In the right sense. It's not colored by emotion. I think there's that good balance between intellect and emotion.
that's true. That's true, Danny. That's true. No argument there. That's, yeah.
Yeah, I
So
really
what?
do find that
Go ahead, Lynn.
in your work, having that balance. I myself sometimes can get too bogged down in my emotions, or too other times I could be at work, for example, I get too bogged down in
Yeah.
my intellect,
Yeah.
and I think
Yeah.
balancing the truth lies in balancing, finding balance between heart and mind, between
Right.
intellect and emotion.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
And, and I think your work has that balance, and I think it's the kind of book that somebody could, your pieces, having that book on the coffee table that people can read and gives them that direction in their thought
Yeah.
patterns.
Well, I hope so. I mean, I hope if anybody that gets it and reads even some of it, I hope it's worth whatever they pay for it on Amazon.
Yeah.
you know, and I don't know that I've ever read a poetry book front to back. Maybe I have. I don't know.
So
Well, I know I've read some.
is Amazon the only outlet that your book's available on?
Yes. I just went with the self-publishing route, and it was, I paid. Well, I had Kendra Austin do the editing for me, and it was just a labor of love. Sounds kind of corny. I guess it kind of was. I just wanted to get it done. I didn't expect to even break even on it, which is fine. It's just, it's out there. My kids have a copy, and then probably sold maybe 5 or 6 other copies. I don't know what it is, but it's fine.
No,
I got the closer.
I think there's a lot in your work that people can glean from.
Thank you.
I personally love poetry that's empowering and encouraging, particularly for those that follow us, the younger ones.
Yeah.
Like we learned from people who came before us, and
Right.
So yeah. What have you got coming up in the near future? Anything planned? Do you get an opportunity, you and LG even, do you get much opportunity to go to live attendances in your locality in Ontario?
We have not availed ourselves of that. I haven't. She did one years ago. With I think PPP was there, and maybe Ramrock was there. This might have been a couple years ago. There are some in the Toronto area. We just haven't gotten out to them, and there may be others closer. I don't know. But we haven't. Neither of us have been to one in a bit. So, as far as what's coming up for me, at some point when I feel like I have enough material, I'll probably put out another book. Yeah, and we're going to start doing foreplay features again. That's right. We're going to start doing those because that's a live that we really, I think, was pretty well received, and we really enjoy doing, where we take 4 poets and read like 3 pieces of each, and then we do DMs. But we haven't done that in a hot minute. It's been six months, maybe. I don't even know, longer than that, maybe. But yeah, that's kind of my favorite live that I've done in a while. Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's FOUR play, Betty, but yeah, that's the idea, is play on that. We started that when we were, apart, so foreplay seemed like a pretty appropriate title for the live.
Yeah, no, I think that's I only 18 months ago started going to a lot of local sort of live attendance, because hardly anybody in my own home city knew me, but people in the UK, US, and Canada knew me,
Right.
but nobody here. So, and I recently dragged out. Now, here's a fun fact: Angela San, who does so many lives and DMs, and she has never attended a live, and she was quite nervous about it. And 3 weeks ago, I took her to a live. Now the bug's bitten. Every week she's out at lives. Every week. She's really
heard that. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's very cool.
And
there may be some in our area that we're just not aware of. I don't know how. I'm sure you can find out on social media, but
yeah, right. Yeah. We've got a website saying melbournepoetry.com, and there all the gigs that are happening. So 7 days a week, there's gigs all over, and it's pretty handy.
That's cool. Yeah.
Well, Todd, we've got about quarter for now, so let's pick a couple of your sort of pieces that are close to your heart, and let's make good use of this next. Normally, I have no time limit, but the only reason I've been keeping it to hour 45 is if I go to 2 hours, I can't download the archive file, and because I create a YouTube as well as a podcast of this show, I've got to get it and then get screen recordings and blend it, and it sort of ruins the video and it's more troublesome. So I try to keep it to 1 hour 45. That way I can get the full download in one piece, one hit.
Makes sense. All right, I'll read this one, which is on my page now. It's a little bit similar to the last piece, but not quite. It's kind of a similar feel. This one's called "No One Tells You." No one tells you that your circles become progressively smaller as you get older, to the point they don't even seem like circles anymore, as much as dots on an ever expanding canvas. No one tells you that money is important up to a point, but accumulating more and more just to stash it away doesn't make you happy or content or fulfilled. Using it to make others' lives better is the best use of your resources. No one tells you that as you get older, you care less and less about what the destination is or how it looks when you get there, and more about what positive marks you can leave on those you meet long after the travel is ended. No one tells you the old ways will be revised or discarded, and new traditions will be forged in your absence, both during your life and afterward. No one tells you that after divorce, your adult children will continue to spend the majority of their time, including holidays, in the house where they grew up, with their mother and her new partner, because their beds are there and it's familiar, although they don't love you any less. No one tells you that the only thing worth saying is the truth, as you know it, and to do so to the best of your ability. Nor do they tell you that it is the truth teller, not the liar, that is most often punished for what they say. No one tells you that you always know when and how pain enters and through which doors of you, but when, where, and if it exits is always questionable. No one tells you that regardless of if or where heaven might exist, hell most definitely exists. Within the confines of the mind and its tortured imaginings, deliberate imbalance, contrived depravity, and blind self-immolation. No one ever tells you that the only inheritance worth receiving is the strength not to disinherit yourself before you leave behind another inheritance. And they never tell you that no one knows, really knows, what comes after all of this. Everyone has their ideas, their convictions, and their hopes. But the only thing anyone really knows is that we each take a last breath and have a last thought. And all we should hope is that our last impressions will bring warmth and last long after we have passed.
Hmm. I love the lines. No one tells you when the pain enters or when and where it exits.
Yeah.
I echo my statement before, Todd. Your work is so empowering to people walking different parts in life as they go through different challenges and so forth. But your advice is in a very encouraging way,
Yeah.
not in a very prescribed way.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
I don't know that there is any prescribed way
It
that
isn't
works for,
exactly. There
it's,
isn't.
yeah,
There
yeah,
isn't, because you and I can go through the same experience, but our attachment to that to it could be very different. What I see
yeah,
through my eyes will be very different to what you see. The
yeah,
relativity to our past experience is different, so there is no prescribed way, and
right.
people look for this prescribed way.
Yeah,
Um, in yours, it's triggering the individual's thoughts in a healthy direction,
yeah.
and
It
that's
reminds me, it reminds me of the saying that no one ever sees the same movie or reads the same book,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
Mm.
mm,
Okay.
yeah,
Perspective.
Yeah, it's all filtered through
correct.
your eyes, your mind, where your mind takes, especially with a
Mm,
book. We're all
Yes.
imagining what it looks like, but yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
No. Folks, you heard the man, and to those who will probably watch the replay of this or listen to the podcast when I created or the YouTube channel, you heard the man speak on Amazon. Look for his book. If I have
yes,
not heard a piece of yours that you recited, that you showcased today, Todd, that a young person, an adult, like even an old fart like me, who's gone through, who's constantly learning through life, even could not take uh, value from in your
yeah,
pieces. As I said,
yeah,
I really
I
find
appreciate
it so empowering and encouraging in for people. Well, we're all walking through life's way, and
it. Yeah,
phenomenal, phenomenal.
Yep.
And Todd, as I said, I will be when I post the when I post this in Instagram, I'll add you and Gemini as
Fantastic.
collaborators, and you can share it on your own page. And then within the week, I'll create the YouTube and the Spotify sort of podcast, and I'll send you those links. Feel free to use
Thank
them
you.
as you wish,
Thank you.
like I did with LG. And yeah, I've got to say. It's been an honor having you here, Todd. And to the audience, LG, Jolene, Danny, as I say every week, having your support and encouraging comments, and even while he was here before, helps our featured guests to expose to showcase more of themselves. Otherwise, it's very hard. It's like me going and talking to a wall about me, right? It's hard to get, but your encouragement through the comments, through by being participants, is a valued part that helps Gemini and me to provide this platform and showcase the great people we've had on the show. What year and a half, whatever. This is episode 42, so and we do it every second week. So it's been going a while.
Fantastic.
Okay, you have no sound.
Yeah.
Next fortnight we won't have a show, and the fortnight after we won't, because you got Thanksgiving, so it was close, and Gemini's got commitments. And the fortnight after that, which would have been the 13th of December, Gemini has a fashion show or some commitment there too, so we won't have a show. Our final show for the year will be on the 20th of December, which will be our Christmas show, where we whoever guest that we've featured come up and have a bit of a yak and share some pieces and a bit of a yahoo. So you're officially the last featured guest for the year, Todd.
Oh, thank you. I'm honored.
And in the new year, as I said, I'm looking forward to having both you and LG. And now that I've learned about this secret stash of collaborators,
Yes.
that's going to be that one. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, the show I'm probably looking at, the show's going to change a bit in the new year because unfortunately, sadly, my wonderful co-host might not be able to support me on this bit because of personal commitments. So you're going to probably have to put up with my boring sort of persona. But I'm hoping, Gemini, the door's always open whenever you want to come in, when you do get the chance. It's the show wouldn't be the same without you and your contributions and what you bring to it. But I might even change it to 7 p.m. because a lot of 6 p.m. is a bit of a challenge for you guys, for most people in the EST sort of time zone. Even if you finished work at 5, it's a bit of a rush. So I might change it to 7 p.m. for next year. So, yeah. And looking forward to a Christmas show, a bit of fun and laughter, and then after the silly season, get back to it in the new year from about the 10th of January. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank both of you for having me. It's been a blast. I really appreciate the comments and the kind words. It's been an honor. So thank you very much, both of you.
Pleasure.
You're welcome. Thank you for accepting, and thank you for sharing a portion of yourself and your life experience with us. And especially thank you for sharing your guitars. I know that was something, and that's something that your love enjoys about you. She loves that about you, and she wanted you to share it.
That's
But
fine.
thank you for indulging her and blessing us by allowing us to see them.
Of course.
So, Todd, floor's yours for your closing piece.
Closing piece?
That's going to leave people going, wow.
I don't know if it'll do that, but we'll see.
I think they all have, Todd. I think they all have. The biggest challenge would be finding a piece to surpass all the ones that you've shared with us so far.
All right. Well, this is just a random one. I don't even know if this. Okay, let's do it. It's called A Place to Play. I have a favorite wall in this room, the one with the window and the mirror too. Its wallpaper covers the black paint lie where we found the timber in Miss Portinari's eye. Milking power from the feeble and the mental middle ground, I strum the melodies of unresolved misery. It's the only way to shorten the list of things I would have done differently. Scoffing at parroted lies from the prorated soul of my inner life, wondering, will this canyon's ledge be where my fears are subsumed by the most dangerous statement ever uttered? This I believe too. But never mind that, there is nothing there but undoing. Engaged in crazy making through facsimiles of brilliance upon the breast of failure, drowning in the womb of resentment. My lips sip coffee while the saw blade breaks upon the iron of false witnesses. Has the anger rested its head, or has it stepped on the brake, fighting against the need to serve two perfect gods imperfectly, cursing at a world that is unable to give up secrets one way or the other? Still a frightened, labile child, afraid to watch, unsure what to say about the hours lost to the questions, about the minutes flushed away. Sunken eyes cry the sunken questions as the night makes quick work of the day, and I toil in the shade of other women's suns when all that was wanted was a place to play.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh wow, that's so powerful in there. So much depth to each of your pieces, Todd. Honestly, has been for me, and I'll let Gemini speak for herself, has been an absolute pleasure and an honor to really getting to meet you, meet the Todd, meet the person within, meet the writer, as opposed to when I've jumped on Glass of Mead and we've shared a screen or etc. etc. Or watching, even if I couldn't jump on, listening to your shows, and as Jolene said before, generally reading other people's work.
Yeah.
Words cannot describe what having you for this last hour and three-quarter has meant to me, to getting to know the Todd. And look, it's hard when sometimes for the moon to shine when you're living in the shadow of the sun, and you've got the vivacious personality of LG there. Good God, Whew. So yeah, I think we're going to have to, when we bring both of you on, we're going to have to put a harness and put her in a naughty corner just to not have a bit of Todd in that show when we do it. So.
No, she'll behave. I'll make sure she behaves.
Oh, I've got to ask you before you go. Now, just before her show and she got COVID, she sent me a picture of her in a tent in your backyard because you banished her to the backyard. Is
Oh,
that
I did
true?
not. I did not. No.
She said Todd won't let me back in the house. I
No.
knew she was taking the piss there.
Oh
I
yeah,
knew she was.
she was. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, she'll tell you I'm the farthest thing from a germaphobe. I'm up for challenging my immune system. I don't know. Maybe that's not the smartest thing always, but it is what it is. So.
Gemini.
Well, I can't wait to make it to Canada. There are so many beautiful and talented poets up there. And I have some family up there, but most of them will be poetry family. So I can't wait to make it. And when should I come to catch some good snow? I'm not talking about the type that Christopher Walken had when he did that movie and when he was in the gazebo.
Well, this is I can't answer that. This is my first winter here because I came in February and it was kind of on the downside. So I don't know. My understanding is it's not been nearly as snowy in the last 10 years, climate change and all that. But I don't know. I have no idea. My kids are coming in toward the end of January and they want to see snow. I'm like, I have no idea if it's going to snow or not. So.
Well, I'm excited for you. So I will be dropping by a glass of mead, and I will be dropping by, and I want snow updates. I have snow envy. I went see Deep Thought, the lyricist Arsenio. I
Yeah.
went to see him in Wisconsin twice for
Oh
snow.
wow.
For
It
snow.
snows. I was gonna say.
It
Yeah.
didn't snow while I was there. It's the last trip, it snowed before I came.
Oh
They cleared it
yeah.
out,
There you go.
and when I got on the plane, it snowed again.
Nice. Nice.
No, no. So we'll see how
No,
this year
nice.
goes for you guys,
Okay.
and
Fair
I'll
enough.
make a plan to come up there when it actually snows.
All right. Awesome.
Well, I think in
Fantastic.
Canada, if you don't have snow in one place, go to another place in Canada and you'll find snow, right?
That's true. That is true. That's true. If you're willing to drive far
Yeah.
enough, you can get some snow.
You go to a part
Yeah,
where
I don't want to
it's
get
minus
stranded.
60 degrees, you can thaw out there, you know. So
That's right. Yeah, you don't
I'm
want to
not
get
that much of
stranded,
an
that's for sure.
yeah, and I'm not into snowmobiles and wolves and stuff like that. I'm not into that.
they might,
Uh,
the snow wolves might like a bit of warm flesh from Tampa, Florida.
No, no, thank you.
no
And I'm not
thanks.
a snow fox. I'm pretty much an island fox. And this island blood is warm. I just want to make some snow angels, and you cannot make snow angels in the sand. I wouldn't recommend it. I've tried.
Oh
But
yeah.
you can't do it in the grass either because there are fire ants down here. So I need some snow to make snow angels. That's all I want. Not too much to ask.
Fair enough.
Gemini, thank you very much. As always, you bring that special flavor to the show. And Todd, heartfelt thanks. It has been an honor and an absolute pleasure to meet you, to get to know Todd, but also hearing your work. And to the audience, thank you. Thank you, LG, Miss Betty. You're a gem, Miss Betty. You're every show you've been there supporting the crowd and having Jolene and Wiley and Danny and so forth here really has made it a fun Saturday for me, Friday for you guys. Um, but
Well, it was a pleasure. Appreciate it very much.
so
Yeah, again,
as I
thank you
said,
for coming. Go ahead.
I will share the links. I'll add you both as a collaborator, and I will also send you the links within the week as I do the YouTube and the podcast.
Awesome.
Okay. And as always, thank you for doing all of the background work on the show. Thank you, Rainier.
Absolute pleasure. The joy, as I said, these gifts give two ways, right? You know, getting to know our featured guests each week more intimately, it means a lot to me, and I think it adds that richness to my uh, um, relationship to the community, you know, and look, you never know who watches these and who sees these, and if it gives somebody the break that they're looking for and expose. Look, if there's somebody out there that watches this and hears one of your poems, hears one line, and it helps them in their life, I'm happy that the show has happened, right? I'm happy. Yeah, I give a couple of hours of my life if it can help somebody like that. That's great.
And I'll be happy if someone buys your book.
Yep.
So we're going to get your book sold. Your content and your delivery and just the transparency of your poetry is absolutely amazing. So
Mm, mm.
hopefully there are those that hear it, and if you would put your information when the live post, put your
Sure.
information in the comments
Comments?
uh,
Absolutely. I'll do
on
that.
where they can find the book.
You
Okay?
bet.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Gemini.
You're
And thank
welcome.
you, everybody in the audience that's stayed throughout, that came and went. Thank you all. Stay safe, stay blessed, everybody.
Take care.
Thank you. Ciao.